Hey everyone, it's McKeown back again today with another veteran-related video. Today we're going to be discussing how to utilize your VA loan. Hey guys, quick announcement here before the video begins. I just made a brand new Facebook group called Veterans Investing. I'm going to leave that down in the description below. If you are interested and are a veteran, make sure to join that group. Now stay tuned for the video. I'm a local real estate agent in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've used my VA loan twice, once on a duplex and once on a fourplex, but I've also helped a ton of veterans locally here in my market purchase just a single family for them or their family. So if you're looking to use your VA loan for the first time, or if you're a veteran that's used your VA loan multiple times, this video can still be truly beneficial for you. First things first, in your local market, you need to find a real estate agent that is knowledgeable with VA loans. And that doesn't mean just a local real estate agent that is your friend or someone that you were recommended. I'm truly telling you to find someone that has helped veterans before, and hopefully in my case, is actually a veteran who's used their VA loan as well. And that's not to discredit any other real estate agents out there that possibly haven't helped veterans or are not as knowledgeable on a VA loan, but there are a ton of things that come into the VA loan that you want to make sure that your real estate agent knows for you. Once you've found a local real estate agent that you feel confident and comfortable with, that knows VA loans and possibly even is a veteran themselves who has used their VA loan, make sure they have a preferred lender that is also familiar with VA loans. For example, one of my best friends, Tyler Hodgson with NXT Mortgage, is a veteran himself, and he's very familiar with VA loans. I think last year and this year combined, we've closed about 25 different VA loans. Now, there are certain things that a mortgage broker is going to need to do prior to even starting the process of using your VA loan. First of all, you need to make sure you get a certificate of eligibility. A certificate of eligibility is basically the A-OK for you to be approved for a VA loan. After you've obtained your certificate of eligibility, you've got your real estate agent and your mortgage broker lined up, that's when you can start the process of finding a home. One of the biggest perks to the VA loan itself is you do not have to pay any PMI. Now, PMI is property mortgage insurance. For example, on a $300,000 house, roughly you're going to be paying about $250 a month. It's about $3,000 a year. That alone is going to save you a ton every single year. The other huge perk with the VA loan is obviously no down payment. A traditional conventional loan for a first-time home buyer is going to be either 3 or 5% down. Obviously, you can put more down if you want, but at the end of the day, a 3 or 5% down payment is obviously needed in order to obtain a conventional loan. An FHA loan is going to be 3.5% down. So if you're looking at those three options, whether it be 3% down, 3.5% down, or 5% down, on a $300,000 house, you're still talking about at least $15,000 down as a down payment. Now with a VA loan, obviously that is completely wiped out. You do not have to make any kind of down payment whatsoever, but there are other additional costs. Now I'll go into one of the largest costs that may be associated with your VA loan here shortly on one of the tips that I have to give you guys, but the other fees that you're going to have to pay are going to be just your standard fees for any kind of loan. It's no different than a conventional or FHA loan, but you're going to have lender-related closing costs. Now I won't go into too much detail about lender-related closing costs, but I will give you an idea. You're looking at, prepaid taxes, prepaid insurance, potentially some money if you decide to buy your rate down, and some other closing costs as well. Now these can range anywhere from maybe 1% to 3% of your total loan value. So again, on a $300,000 house, your closing costs could range on the low end from $3,000 all the way up to $9,000. But if you work with a great real estate agent and they negotiate those closing costs for you, you can actually have the seller take care of those costs without you paying a dollar. Now, when we're talking about rates in terms of potentially buying down your VA loan to get a lower interest rate, or maybe actually having some of those closing costs paid for example, you can actually have a higher interest rate and have some of those closing costs covered if you choose to have a higher interest rate. But a VA loan itself is going to have a better interest rate than any loan out there. Interest rates for VA loans right now will fluctuate based on the individual, but I would say for the most part, your VA loan on a 30-year fixed should be somewhere in the 2s, probably more than likely in the low 2s. Also, I'm not a mortgage broker myself. I'm a real estate agent, but I can tell you that the VA loan is different in terms of its loan guidelines versus a conventional or FHA loan. An FHA loan and a conventional loan are going to be heavily driven upon credit. A VA loan, for example, is not going to be entirely dependent on your credit score. Now, that doesn't mean that your credit score doesn't matter with a VA loan, but I would say it matters less than if you're trying to apply for a conventional or FHA loan. So there are a couple tips that I want to go into, but first and foremost, I want to discuss the funding fee. Now, the funding fee itself is a fee that the VA is going to charge you to basically obtain your VA loan. However, that can be completely waived if you have any military disability. Now, the funding fee itself is going to range anywhere from 2.2% if you're using your VA loan for the first time to 3.3% if it's a second or third use or if you've used it multiple times. Now, on a $300,000 house, you're talking about anywhere from $6,500, $6,600 to almost $10,000 that you would be charged if you don't have your funding fee waived. So first things first, if you're looking to get out of the military, or if you're out of the military now looking to get your certificate of eligibility for your VA loan, make sure that you apply for disability. Anything above 10% will get that fee waived. Also, another tip here, if you've applied for military disability, but in the meantime, you do purchase a house and you do pay that funding fee can actually be returned to you after you get your disability. Now, if you are active duty and you obviously can't claim any military disability, you can get that funding fee lowered at least if you're putting a little bit more down. For instance, if you have another house that you purchased with your VA loan and you're going to be rolling in a little bit of that equity into another home, that funding fee can actually be lowered. But at the end of the day, your funding fee is rolled into your loan, so you may not see it as much as you think. Now, you may be asking, how do I qualify for a VA loan? Now, obviously, a VA loan is for veterans. If you've served more than 90 days outside of training on active duty, or if you served over 6 years reserve, you more than likely can qualify for a VA loan. Now, obviously, there are stipulations here, and obviously how you were discharged is going to be playing a huge factor. Anything beyond an honorable discharge is going to be really difficult to be able to qualify for a VA loan. But at the end of the day, more than likely, if you've served in the military and had an honorable discharge, you are able to qualify for a VA loan, and I highly suggest that you take advantage of it. Now, the next tip I have for using your VA loan is going to be more towards investors or people that are looking to purchase using your VA loan, potentially a multifamily. I've actually gone over it in other videos before, but I highly suggest that you fully leverage your VA loan. Now, what do I mean by fully leverage? I'll give you an example here in the state of Texas. You have conventional loan limits. Conventional loan limits basically mean how much can I take out for a traditional single family. Now, if you're going to be doing it for investment purposes, I highly suggest to go the duplex route or the quad route. So again, for example, in the state of Texas right now, it's actually $548,500. That could be used entirely towards a duplex or a quad. The issue you run into by not fully leveraging your VA loan is, for example, you may purchase a home that's $300,000. It may be a primary house that you live in for 5 years, and then you find the opportunity to maybe purchase a duplex or a quad. Now you only have $248,500 of entitlement left, and anything that you go over, for instance, let's say it's a $548,000 house. Well, now you've gone over your entitlement by almost $300,000 because you didn't sell the first home, and you're going to have to put 25% down on any overage. In this case, it would be almost $75,000. So just a tip, personally, if you're going to be using your VA loan multiple times, take it from me, someone that wasn't aware of this initially, make sure to fully leverage that VA loan, or at least as much as you can, on your first purchase. Otherwise, you're going to wind up with a significant down payment, which kind of defeats the purpose of leveraging your VA loan. Now, there is a way to get your entitlement back. Obviously, if you have that house that you initially purchased for $300,000, if you go and sell that house that you got for $300,000 and you no longer have any VA loan out whatsoever, you're going to be able to restore your entire entitlement. In this case, in the state of Texas, where I am, you'd be able to purchase a home up to the conventional loan limit, which again is $548,500. I do want to make a disclaimer. Obviously, every single state is different, so make sure that you connect with a local realtor and mortgage broker to make sure that everything that I'm saying and going over in this video actually applies to you locally. Also, one last thing, guys, that I forgot to mention. It's probably the most asked question that I get, and that is, how long do I need to stay in the house that I purchased with my VA loan before I use my VA loan again? Now, the answer to this question obviously can't be answered just in one example. Every single person and every single underwriter that is going to approve or deny a loan trying to use a VA loan for the second time is going to be different. For instance, my example, and I'm going to actually be going over this probably in my next video, which is my breakdown of my portfolio. But in my example, I actually went from a VA loan to a conventional loan in 5 months, and then I waited about 2 years after that purchase to use my VA loan again. Generally speaking, with a VA loan, you're going to probably have to have at least a year between purchases. It can be sooner if you're relocating from one area to another. We're talking multiple hours away. But again, every person is going to be different. If you purchase a house, let's say a multifamily investment house that you live in for 6 months or so, you get married or potentially have a child, you may need to move into a traditional single family. It's going to honestly be dependent on the underwriter, but that's why you got to make sure that you're working with an agent and a mortgage broker that knows what they're doing. If there's any other questions that I may not have answered regarding a VA loan, make sure to leave it down in the comments below. I've obviously used mine twice, and I've helped a handful of veterans locally here do it themselves. I'd love to help you. Also, if you're looking to utilize your VA loan, whether it be just for a primary residence or potentially as an investment property to live in, make sure to reach out to me. My contact information is below. I have realtors and lenders across the nation that I can connect you with. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help. I've got another great video coming out at the end of this week as well, breaking down my $2 million real estate portfolio that I have garnished in the last about 4 years. Gonna go over the nitty-gritty numbers on that, so stay tuned.